It's your boy Charlie Mack, and today on Barbershop Talk, I got my beautiful, talented, intellectual, beautiful, clumsy wife, Christy Freeman. And today, what we want to talk about is we seen what is it called? A quick skit on, not a skit, but a quick reel on No Fugazi podcast. Shout out to my man. He do be spitting that game. Um, and on that podcast topic, the topic was no women with kids are qualified outside of recreational fun. And me and my wife have two different perspectives on this. So it's not a good thing, a bad thing, a right thing, a wrong thing. Well, maybe it is. It's just a logic thing, right? Once we dialogue, and you guys be the judge of it. So, with that being said, we're going to just start by talking. I'm going to let her dialogue a little bit about what she saw on that reel and what her perspective or insight is, and let her explain a little bit. Go ahead, my dear.
Yes, are you sure the mic's on?
Yes, the mic is on.
So we could show the reel.
Come on, you doing
Okay.
too much.
So on the reel, it said basically that single women with children are good for recreational use only. Um, I said that I disagree with that for several reasons. Um, I was a single mom when you met me. Do you think that I'm only for recreational use?
Absolutely. Now are we talking about you per se or the majority of women?
Well, we're talking about women in general.
Because that's like we can say one of your friends. That's like, are we just talking about boom? So it's more of what do you experience from people you encounter that you know. That's how we got to go off of it, not how you feel at the moment. That's all I was saying. So, what do you feel?
Well, I think that while there may be a group of women that are like that, I think there are many that are not. So I think
Yo, hey, you just joined a good conversation. So, what we was talking about basically, my wife seen a reel on No Fugazi podcast, and it stated that one of the topics was men should not take women with children serious. They should only use them for recreational purpose. Do you guys think that's true? And we're going to give our perspective on it. So, what were you saying?
and the person that said it actually was with a single mom. So that was interesting to me also.
That's how you
So if you feel that way, but you're in a relationship with someone that's a single mom, that's interesting. But that's your perspective. I'm not sure how that sounds contradictive.
Absolutely. I love this lady. She's very intellectual. I get another perspective off hearing her sometimes. My thing is, you got to read the whole context. You don't know his whole background with the woman he's with or the females that he's talking to. He's directing it towards a certain female. You just seen a 15-minute clip and then base the judgment off that. And you can't do that because one thing to be a leader, you have to get the facts, both sides of the story. Now, would you like to go for it?
Sure.
I mean, what else would you like to say?
Oh, I thought you had a question.
No, so I was going to ask. Now we're talking about men who are of value, and what is a man of value? You ask. No, it's not just based off financial. Let's get that myth out the way. And my ideology and my belief system and my personality, I feel a man that is career driven, that he's into his fitness and health, that has intellect and can hold an intellectual conversation, a man who has goals, a man who's assertive, speak up for what he believes in, but not too aggressive. A man who's financially stable doesn't have to make $1 million a year, but can bring in constant income. And also a man who's attractive. Now, if you're not attractive, that's okay. Make sure your personality makes up for it, though, right? So when we're talking about those type of men, we're speaking on men who have options, right? Because that's the reality of the fact. Now, in barbershop talk, the truth will set you free, even if it hurts sometimes. So we're not just going to take it out of context. We're putting everything in perspective. And part of the perspective is we're talking about women with high expectations, but are low maintenance characteristics, right? So we have to make that make sense. I'm going to piggyback off that.
Well, I definitely think every person should be working towards being their best self, towards being in a relationship. So when you say low maintenance, being low maintenance is not necessarily a bad thing. That means you're not requiring someone, constant things. But what are your standards? I think low maintenance and low standards are two different things.
Okay, thank you for correcting me. Low standard is probably the word. It's probably the word I should have used. Okay.
Yeah. No, but if you're low standard, then then what he said probably applies because you probably feel that way about men also as a female.
And that's the only argument I was getting at.
But for the women that aren't like that, they shouldn't hear one statement and say, "Oh, I'm a single mom. I'm only good for recreational use."
Well, ultimately, it's really up to the men, right? I mean, a woman can feel how she feels, like how it should be, but ultimately, the man makes the choice of what woman he wants. Now, when it's a scarce, what's going on, my little broski? Hey, let's get it. But when a man has more options, that just makes the value market more higher for him. So you have to be able to distinguish between these type of guys. Doesn't make a guy better, but where he's at in life is making his more life enhanced. So
yeah, it could definitely
come with that.
Being a single mom can definitely limit what your options are, or what you may be wanting or looking for. If the person you're looking for isn't looking for that back, so that's something that you have to come to a realization about based on what are you looking for as the person.
Absolutely. Now me being 38 and fitting all the qualifications and criteria of what you would call a man with value to himself. Um, these are the questions I would say you have to ask before getting into a relationship with a female. Now, my wife, she's an exception because she handled her business even when we were together, and she wasn't looking for me to take care of her kids, but I was willing to take care of her, help take care of her kids, right? But this is what I also learned 14 years later, being in a relationship. These are the things you have to ask yourself. If you're a man with options and you have your stuff together, can you discipline a woman's child who's not yours?
And I think that's an open conversation that you have to have with the woman to make sure she's willing to accept that. Because I know some people are not, and so if you're not, then you probably shouldn't be looking to get in a relationship, or you're gonna have to make sure you find a man that's okay with not taking on that role, which most men probably won't be okay with that.
Number two, you have to ask yourself, do a woman trust you to be around her child? Now, you're a man with options. You're a man who has something going on with your life. This is the second question. Does a woman internally trust you to be around her children?
So I think trust is something you have to build. Has he been untrustworthy for any rhyme or reason? If so, then there could be a reason to not trust them. Because if you're not trustworthy in any one area, are you untrustworthy in all areas? Maybe.
Good question. Good answer. Good question. Good answer. Number three, you have to ask, is the woman with the child exuberating more masculine or feminine energy?
I would say if she's a single mom, when you meet her, she's probably going to be more masculine because she's having to do everything in the household. So I think the man showing, building that trust and showing security will break that down in a female that truly wants to be in a relationship.
Now, if a man has options of women who don't have to do all that, why do you think he wouldn't pick that on a man's point of view? And that's all I'd be saying, right? Because that's like, oh, he has to change a lot of things in his life when he got
So then
himself
likely
established.
there wouldn't even be a interaction, right? Because if a man's not interested in that, why is he going to be dating with a woman that has a kid, unless he's being deceitful, saying I'm
And that's
trying to
typically
want to be with
that's
you, but really don't.
but that's typically how it is. And
But then, and there lies the problem on the man's part. Why are you being deceitful?
the
When you
same
can
reason
just
why
be
the
honest.
but ain't it's the same reason why the woman would be deceitful? It's for the
No,
attempt.
neither one should be deceitful. That's the problem, and that's where everything goes wrong. Is there's just a level. What is your intention in anything?
That's it, right? Okay. So the next question the man would have to ask: does she like to even cook? In her heart, does she like to cook? We gotta ask me what you say, my lovely dear who loves to cook. Actually,
Well, I mean, I do think that I don't love to cook. But
well,
I
you've been
cook,
cooking for
but
14 years straight, so at the end of the day, we not
well,
gonna act like it ain't mandatory or.
no, I do think it is a part of your responsibility as a wife. But I do think that the
So what do you
husband.
say for the women who are single moms, can only make like baked chicken and a little bit of mashed potatoes and that's it. But they don't outside just to put it in the food, the baby's
Well, then
mouth.
that's when you create goals as a couple. Hey, I would like for you to learn how to do this, and you create a goal as a couple and to learn to
So
do
you're
it.
saying a woman has to be open to
Yeah, of course,
do
of
that.
course.
Okay, so I feel it's still hope
Both
then.
parties have to be open,
Hey
right?
Harana, how you feeling today? Yeah, so we're just talking about today, are single moms only good for recreational purposes? This is my wife. Good evening. This is my show, and this is Barbershop Talk, and we're basically want to get your insight. We want to get her insight, and you definitely gonna get my insight, right? So the next question is, so I don't know if we answered that question. If a woman doesn't like to cook,
Mm-hmm.
but this man who has all these things he can bring to the table,
Mm-hmm.
what
So
what
there's a difference
what?
in not liking to or not wanting to do or learning to do it. So you might not like to do something, but if you truly want to be the best person and be in a for your partner and be in a relationship, then you're gonna have to compromise and maybe learn to do things that you might not like to do.
Look at the screen.
But
Tell him.
that's both parties
Tell
have
him.
to do that.
No, because I would like me personally. I would never learn how to cook.
No, not necessarily both parties learn how to cook, but both parties have to learn to compromise to do
Oh,
things.
absolutely. That's the number one rule. If you can't compromise, you have to check yourself in the mirror because at the end of the day, no, none of us is perfect. Now we just got to identify who we are, what we like, and what we want in our partner to make our life a little bit less stressful and a little bit more peaceful, right?
Yes, but I do think that the man should know, like, what if I'm sick? You'll go get us something to eat, or you might cook
I
something.
think
It's not like
that's
you haven't ever done it, or
And I think that's part of compromising, right?
yes,
Because that's where the test of love comes in. It's not only when you guys are on your ups, it happens actually when you guys are on your down. So when you're wheezing and stuff at times and things of that nature in the middle of the night, that I'm up because I love you. It's not because you see what I'm saying? So these are
yes,
things
get up and give me water.
so these are things that love is all about organic and authenticity. All right, now the next thing a man will have to ask is she making her baby father take on their responsibilities, or does she just come at you with higher expectations? These are something you have to ask yourself. What do you think, my dear?
So I think probably most women will have higher expectations because they're probably not with the father because expectations are not being met, right? So you're looking for someone else to meet what your expectations are in a relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think automatically that will happen, even though it might not be intentional, right? Does that make sense?
Not really, but I will continue to listen so we can make understanding of what you're trying to say.
Okay. What I'm saying is, do you not think that her and the father would still be together if he was meeting her expectations, or vice versa?
I mean, they could not be together for many reasons. They could not one know each other.
But it's all based gonna boil down to an expectation of not knowing each other, expectation of financial what you didn't do, an expectation of whatever it is. They're not meeting an expectation of whatever realm it is, right? So you're going into a new relationship with a new person because you want that person to meet your expectations, right?
Yeah.
So off rip, yes, the expectations are going to be a higher standard because that's what you're looking for to make a relationship happy. Now, should it be
Come and show your beautiful face.
I'm trying.
Sorry, she's too beautiful to keep her off screen, so I'm sorry.
So I think, but that's where you have conversations to also set boundaries of what those expectations are, so that you know going in what those expectations are on each side.
Absolutely.
To make sure that you can meet them.
Right. And for me, like I said, we're talking about a man who brings something more than the average man does, right? So for that, with that being said, it's more of you have to coincide with the expectations that he's looking for, because he's the prize. Is that right or wrong? Who's the prize? That's a great question, y'all. Who is the prize when it comes down to it? Because when it comes down to, if you have to go out and choose another man, um, that's based on the woman's standard.
My maternal grandfather adopted all 15 of my grandmother's children and disciplined them. All of them, like his biological children. The father was deadbeats if he was.
Oh, that's my boy.
That
right
sounds
there.
like a lot like my family too. My grandfather adopted myself and my mom and raised us, and my aunt, and raised them like they were his as well. There are a lot of fathers that do that.
Now, bro, I don't know how you get it. I never met my father. Um, my mom very educated, love her to death, but didn't have the best taste in men. So at the end of the day, I had to learn off life experiences and my faith. And my faith, when I say my faith, what I mean by that is believing what I believe in, and then trying to follow what I believe in, and making choices based off what I believe in, not just based off of how I felt. And that's what made me become a man. And she seen it right in my face. She seen the boy to a man. So um, we can break our generational curses. It just takes us, though. We can't look for nobody to save us but Christ. And then when He saves us, guess what happened? You can save other people. Okay. All right. So the next question will be, now my answer before we go to the next question. My answer on that, as far as uh trying to have a high value man, meaning a man with character, man who brings a lot to the table, having high expectations for him, but not the baby father. That is super illogical. And if you are a man who has options and you have standards, I would definitely advise you not to go through hoops and obstacles for a woman who doesn't hold another person who has a whole creator being responsible, but will hold you to a higher standard. Okay, we're gonna move on to that next question.
So she should file child support on him, is what you're saying. File the child support.
hold them responsibility, right?
That's how you hold them responsible, right?
Absolutely, I would say
Most
that.
times that's how if right, if they're a single mom, most times that's what they're gonna have to do to hold them responsible. They're not.
Yeah.
Most men don't voluntarily
Normally,
do what they're
they only
supposed to
put
do.
guys on child support who are doing something with their life. They don't normally put guys on child support who.
Well, I know tons that are, but they don't pay, and it just.
Okay, that's what's up.
Oh, yeah.
Now, what about you have to ask yourself: will a woman with kids question or follow your lead? Will a woman with kids question or follow your lead? Now, this is what you have to ask yourself when dealing with a woman who's already leading the whole tribe.
I think that's gonna be based on her core beliefs.
And what's her core beliefs should be.
Well, if they're of God, then
But what if they're not?
well, then you have to ask yourself, do you want to be with someone that doesn't have your same core beliefs? More than likely,
I
you don't.
love that. I love that answer, baby. All right. And last but not least, a man who is doing something with his life, who has options, who worked hard to get to where he's at. You have to ask yourself, well, I have to, is she molded to be a baby's mother or is she molded to be a wife? Now, what do you think I mean by that, my love?
Well, I mean, I think that's something that you're gonna learn
What are
as you're
characteristics of a
dating
baby mama
because.
and a wife?
Well, I was gonna say because um,
What are the characteristics of a baby mother and a wife so we can have clear understanding?
well,
Because I know you about woman empowerment and teaching the women. So,
I mean, I think the characteristics of a wife are following God, being the helper for her husband, help nurturing the children, taking care of the household. Um,
bringing husband peace, right?
yeah, but he's got to be doing the same thing
Wait. So
too.
not bringing him peace. It's a
Yes.
but. Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. But it's not you're doing all these things as the wife, and he thinks just because my high value is not those same characteristics.
Oh, absolutely not.
Because the characteristics you
Absolutely not.
named were all worldly things. So
I really don't think so. I think these are
you
things.
said financial. You said doing good for himself. Of a high value man. What were the things
Well,
you
we're
named?
living in a worldly society, right? So,
Yeah, but that's the problem we got to get back to.
I hear you,
Yeah.
but then I try to bring you into reality as always. And I say, if we're living off a worldly standard, you have to understand the worldly standard. So, if a guy can believe in God, but a female is like, nigga, you don't got enough money. How's the spiritual realm
Yeah, no,
going
that's not
to help?
someone
Right.
that she's not working towards
Right, so
any
we're
of the
gonna
things
stick
I
it
just
on.
described.
So we're gonna stick it on worldly standard, and then if you want to move to the spiritual realm, that is totally fine with me. But right now, we're talking about how people think, their intent, their motives, and how they move. Right.
Right,
So
but
we're
we
gonna
just
keep it
said
on
the
that.
man's intent was always deceitful. So then, why does it matter if the woman's intent is deceitful?
What we have to speak. Why you keep pushing
I
my
don't know. Sorry.
mic? Okay. Yeah. So the whole thing is we have to keep everybody accountable. The whole topic
Yes.
is single moms wanting to date high value men. So I don't want you to lose track because emotional reasons. I want you to stay on track. And it's more of the high value man is what you're wanting after you done had kids, right? So what we're talking about is these are the things you have to ask yourself before you even talk to a female with kids. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, a man shouldn't even waste his time if he knows that's not what he wants. That's the whole
So
thing.
I'm asking these questions about because you disagree that female with kids should have an opportunity with men who are of that stature.
Yeah, I do believe that there are men that We're together. So what does, are you not
Yeah.
of high value?
But we came from an organic environment.
So it can happen, is what I'm saying.
Oh, I'm not opposed to it.
That's all.
I'm not opposed to it. I'm just giving you the reality of what I've learned while we've been together, plus what's going out in society in the dating world today, though, right?
Hmm.
So that's all I'm saying. And I think the last question, yeah. So is she more? What's a baby mama? What's a wife
Oh, I
characteristic?
gave the wife characteristics. It was,
What's the baby mom's
it would
characteristic?
be, I mean, the opposite. You know,
I
doesn't
don't.
value family, doesn't value God, um, doesn't have the ability to be led, or doesn't have, or is all, you know, combative on everything. Um,
That's what the baby mom is.
yeah.
So there you guys have it at Barbershop Talk. We just found out what the truth was and heard it a little bit. That's why you don't talk to baby mamas. You heard everything she just named. That's exactly what you're about to have to deal with when you done did all that hard work to get your stuff together.
That's why you date and find out about a person before you commit to a relationship, so that you make sure your values align. Because not every
Absolutely.
woman, the whole point is not every woman is a baby mama. There are many women out there that are very much of still value, even though they're a single mother.
I
What if you
absolutely.
died? Would I be of no value because you died and I have no husband and now I'm a single mom?
I don't know. Would you find the guy that's for you though? That's for everything that you're looking for is what I asked.
Right, but the whole thing was of no value. Would it be
I
of
mean, I
no
feel like
value?
all people are of value,
Right. Thank you. That's
right?
all I'm saying.
But
That's
for a
all I'm saying.
man of who has standard, is that value
He's probably
equated
not
to
gonna be
his?
dating nobody with kids then to begin with, if he feels that way.
And there we have it, guys. So the topic has been answered. More than likely, a guy who has his stuff together. Um,
It's all about preference.
it's all about preference. If you don't have your stuff together,
God made somebody for everybody.
God made somebody for everybody. It just might not be that guy you want. Hey, I thank y'all for tuning in. I'm gonna drop a video maybe tonight just because I'm feeling good. I appreciate y'all support. I love y'all. Thank you, my love, for your input, and we will see y'all in a minute. I'm out.